Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Horse Guy Mike podcast. I'm Horse Guy Mike. Joining me tonight is my co-host Johnny the Wire. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, we're doing good. We got through the Derby handicapping last night, and now it's time to make the big bucks on the big day. The pick
That's right.
six.
That's right. We're gonna be handicapping the late pick six on Saturday at Churchill Downs, Kentucky Derby. Five undercard races, and then the Derby to cap it off at the end. This is a really great card. A lot of big opportunities for cash here. Usually, like last year, there was some easy singles. Usually on these big days, you'll find one horse who just dominates. But here, you gotta search. You gotta dig deep. You gotta handicap. There's not one who just jumps off the page as an easy square.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to describe it. Every race, I think the lowest favorite is probably 2-1 with Jack Christopher, and other than that, it's a bunch of 3-1s, 7-2s. So I mean, if you could cut down on the amount of horses on your ticket and find those winners, it's going to pay out even better than it normally would, because there's not going to be, as you said, there's really no single in the whole sequence.
Yeah, definitely. So we're going to go through each of the races. We're going to start with race 7, work our way up. So with that being said, let's get started. So race 7, Pat Day Mile, 1 mile, 1 turn for 3-year-olds on the dirt. Most of these horses tried the Derby Trail. They failed. They're coming back here to hopefully get back to what they're good at, which is 1-turn sprints. So John, you just mentioned Jack Christopher. He's the 2-1 favorite here. What are your thoughts on Jack Christopher, and what are your thoughts on how this field kind of plays out?
Okay. Well, I do want to say, first of all, there's kind of a theme when it comes to these dirt races, because there's 3 dirt races before the Kentucky Derby, and all 3 of them are sprints, or they're one-turn races. And I just want to say, when I did my handicapping, we've seen the picture of Churchill Downs where it's not a straight backside. It's kind of on an angle, and then it goes to the backside. So there's kind of like that little bit of a turn right there when they hit the backstretch. So it's kind of like a shoot and then a turn. And so I think, this is me personally, I think this is going to affect the horses that got drawn on the inside, because when they hit that turn, they're going to have to kind of turn. And so the horses on the outside are going to have a little easier path, down to get into the race. So with that being said, I'm going to be against Jack Christopher, the 2-1 favorite in the first leg.
He's in the 5 spot.
Yes. I don't think it's necessarily because he's going to get pinned down low, but he is the 2-1 favorite. And if you look at the PPs, he hasn't raced since last October. He's on a 7th-month layoff, and yes, he did win his only 2 races, but that's such a long layoff. And you have a bunch of horses in here that are fast, and they have been running in 2022, they're in better form. So if you think Jack Christopher can come off the long layoff, and then also, he's got to show that early speed, and then he's got to have to beat a full field of horses in here. I think it's a great opportunity to fade the favorite in the first leg. So I had him written down on my A list, and then today I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? You got to be bold on this day. If you want to make money, you got to get bold with it. And so I'm crossing off the 2-1 favorite, Jack Christopher.
All right. I'm not fading Jack Christopher. I almost singled him. And the reason, okay, so he's coming off the long layoff. Chad Brown is a madman this weekend. He is taking all these horses who are coming off of incredibly long layoffs and debuting them on the biggest stage against the best horses in the country. And he's doing it multiple times. And
he's got 4 horses in doing that.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild to me. And he's confident enough that Jack Christopher can do this. He waited. He's like, this is the perfect spot. He didn't rush him into a Derby prep, even like the Lexington. He didn't force him into a 2-turn mile. He's strategically putting him in a one-turn race. And even with the layoff, his first race, his maiden breaking race, was a 92 buyer. His maiden race is better than anything that these horses did. So that the horse came off of a 2.5-year layoff and ran a 92 buyer.
Come on, man.
An infinity layoff. An infinity layoff to run a 92 buyer.
Since he was born.
I think the layoff's not going to bother him. If Chad thinks he's healthy, I think he's going to perform here. He is inexperienced. 2-1's a low price. I'm not going to bet him straight up, but I'm not going to let him beat me in this race. I'm not going to place like a win bet on a 2-1 horse here, especially with how open this field is. But I'm not leaving him off at all.
Well, so I think this is the question with this race is, yes, he has the 102 buyer. Again, it was 7 months ago, so I don't know if he's going to run back to that 102. But I think with him being 2-1 on the morning line, the value is in if you actually single him, like you were saying. And it's like you either single him or you play against him, because if you add him to the ticket and then add a bunch of horses to the ticket and he wins, then you just lost a whole lot of value by adding those other horses.
I agree. And if I thought that he was a true 2-1, I would say you're probably right. I don't think he will be, though. This race is too wide open. I don't know if he'll go off at 2-1.
I think he's going to go off easily at 2-1, because I think people are going to see that 102 buyer, and they're going to see Chad Brown and what you've said, like they don't care about the long layoff, and they're going to play him straight up. And I think I just see a lot of pitfalls for him.
And that might be a long-term poor betting decision, but for now, I'm including him, and I've got 2 others that I'm going to include.
So that's
in this
what
race.
I thought of. I'm like, I had him included with 2 other horses, and then I'm like, well, at the end of the day, like when they go off, I'm going to want one of those other 2 horses to win anyway. So I might as well take him out and add my B horse that I think also has a chance to win at higher odds. And if I could get one of those 3 home and beat Jack Christopher, then I've already got so much more value than
I mean, that's a better betting strategy. I'm playing a bit more conservative, especially in the first leg of a pick six, where I'm not going to let a horse that's this talented, that's this much of a question mark.
I'm kind of in the mindset where if he beats me, fine, I'll come back and play the pick 5.
There you go. That's good. Yeah. All right. So we talked about Jack Christopher. Who are your other 3 horses in this? Who are the 3 that you're playing now? Yeah.
So getting into that whole the wide post thing, my top pick is actually going to be the 11 My Prankster for Todd Pletcher. This is a horse that won the Grade 3 Swale at Gulfstream Park in January. And then he came back in Keeneland in another sprint race, but it was on like wet dirt. He clearly hated it. He didn't do any running at all. So I'm just going to cross a line through that because I think if he gets fast dirt, which I think the weather is like 50-50 right now on whether, it'll be fast or muddy. But if it comes up fast, I think he's got a great chance. He's going to be comfortable on the outside. He's just going to tip over. He'll probably sit about 3rd place on the backstretch. And then hopefully he's been training well, and then he could kick home. And he ran a 90 buyer in that swale. So if you project a 90 buyer and then maybe a little bit improvement off of that, I think he's right there with Jack Christopher and, the top horses. He's 4-1, so he's a little bit better value. And I think he has a better post. Todd Pletcher, can't hate it. So he's my top pick, My Prankster.
Yeah, I mean, he's not even on my ticket.
Man, we're off to a great start.
We're off to a great start. He got destroyed by Jack Christopher in the Champagne last year. Like, it wasn't even close.
That race was on October 2nd, man. Like, I'm like, okay, yeah, he did lose.
Yeah.
But it's so long ago that they could be completely different horses.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this horse is fine. Like you said, that last race at Keeneland on the wet fast track, you can toss it. I do like that he's a pure sprinter. And you would think like distance wouldn't be an issue, but that Champagne was the only time he went beyond 7 furlongs. He went a mile that race.
It was his second race of his life.
I know, but his other races are at 6 furlongs, 7 furlongs. He probably won't.
The swale was at 7 furlongs, and
but this is a mile.
Yeah, so I mean,
he's going
that's a natural progression. You go 6-7 miles. So
I mean, it's a fine
his way up to it.
It's a fine pick. He's working out. Yeah. I don't have him on my ticket. My top choice in this race is actually the number 8 horse, Kavad.
Kavad?
Yeah.
Okay, so no, I'm glad you brought him up because this is a reason I don't like Jack Christopher, because Kavad has a ton of early speed. He might be the fastest horse in the race out of the gate. And so he's coming, Jack Christopher's in the 5 and Kavad's in the 8. I think Kavad might actually put a lot of pace pressure on Jack Christopher.
I think you're right.
Yeah, so I mean, if we think Jack Christopher's coming off a long layoff, he's going to get a lot of pace pressure. then just fade him, dude. Just like
I'm not,
he's
I'm
gonna
not,
get tired, and just fade him.
I'm not going to fade him because if he's anywhere, like if he has a 10 buyer point regression from last year, he's still better than everyone in this field.
Yeah, but a 92 might not win the race though.
He can take a huge step back and still be better. But Kavad at 20-1, it's wild to me that this horse is 20-1. He's a pure sprinter. You look at his races, his last 3 races have all been route races. They've all been Derby preps. And in each of those races, he was in first place.
No, his last 4 actually.
Yeah. He's been in first place until they hit the stretch.
Yep.
And then he fades.
Yep.
So if you finally move him back to a distance that he's going to be good at, then maybe he just hangs on. He has, like you said.
This is a great pick because his last 2 6-furlong races, he won both of them.
Yeah, exactly. And he won at Churchill, which is experience that you're going to need.
Yeah.
Won at 6 furlong. So the mile might be too long. He might be more of a 6 furlong, 7 furlong type sprinter. We'll see. But at 20-1, give me all of Kavad as my top pick.
Mike, I think it's a great pick. But I think you're picking against, like, if he wins, like Jack Christopher, it has to get burned out in a speed duel for that.
See, here's my thing. I rewatched last year's Pat Day Mile. I'm only going with front runners for this race because my other two picks, I'll just go ahead and say it. Major General and Papa Cap. Papa Cap's my B. I probably won't have him on my ticket. But Major General, Kavad, and Jack Christopher are the 3 that are going to be on my main ticket. They're all going to be at the front, and I think one of them is going to hang on.
I think Major General, this is where the post position comes into play because if he doesn't get out on the lead in the one on the rail and then they hit that turn, like imagine if Kavad and Jack Christopher are faster, he's going to get pinched back and then he's out.
Yeah, but if he can stay up there,
first run and he can maybe get the corner.
Yeah, he saves a little bit of ground there. So I like him a lot. If you cross off Major General's Tampa Derby, which was wet, it was his first off layoff. He broke terribly. He won at this track last year. He won at Saratoga, and he got a close second at Keeneland going longer. Cut him back, and he's a pure sprinter. I think he's going to love this distance at this track he's won at.
I think if he was outside, I would have liked him more because I am really big on the posts. I like the Kavad pick, and I have Papa Cap as well. I'm going to use him because we saw him at the Florida Derby. He actually put his head in front of the Florida Derby on the far turn, but then he kind of flattened out, and clearly he couldn't get the distance of the 2 turns. So I think him going back to 1 turn with Flavian Pratt, I think there's a reason Flavian Pratt picked up the mount on Papa Cap. Like, he's a top jockey, and he goes for live horses. And so I think he thinks that horse is going to be live. I think Papa Cap can work out like an inside trip and then maybe tip out, let the speed horses go and then get in behind them and then kind of get out to 3rd place and then maybe go around. So I like Papa Cap. But I'm playing against Major General. I think my prankster is the one I like on the outside. All
right, so you got Papa Cap, my prankster. Who's your last horse here?
My last one is going to be – so this is the one that I dropped Jack Christopher out for. It's going to be the 6th, Teano Twist. He's another sprinter. He was in that same race that my prankster was in at Keeneland, that wet fast race, and he hated it too. So if you look, you scratch that one out. You look before that, he was at Fairgrounds on good dirt in a 6 furlong sprint, and he ran a 91 buyer. So he was right up there. He got 2nd place by less than a length. So, I mean, he's a late runner. So, he's got to kind of get that perfect trip to come home and get it. I think he's a great pick for like underneath on exotics, but I just think like if I'm playing against Jack Christopher, I'm going all in and I'm going to use Teano Twist. And maybe he gets up to win it at 10-1, and he's got some great value for that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to pick a closer, he's probably the best closer in the bunch. My thought process is this is going to be won by a front runner. So I kind of tossed all the closers here.
Your horse Kavad, man, I think he might really heat up the pace, and it could set up for a horse off the pace like Papa Cap or maybe even a closer like Teano Twist.
Can always happen. So it's a good pick, Teano Twist. So I'm on Major General, Jack Christopher, and Kavad. You're on my prankster, Papa Cap, and Teano Twist.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on to the next race, race number 8, the Derby City Distaff, 7 furlongs for fillies and mares, older fillies and mares. What are your initial thoughts on this race? What's the first horse, your top choice?
Okay, so my initial thought is that again we have another sprint here. So coming out of that chute, I like outside posts, and so my top horse is going to be Edgeway, the 7. She's not the favorite. I believe she's 4-1. But she's 5 years old now. She actually got second in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint last year. She beat Gamine. She lost to Cece, who's a great horse in her own right. But coming off that second place, I mean, you look like she came back at Santa Anita with two big wins. Especially last race, she won by 7 lengths in a sprint, and she beat a horse named Private Mission for Bob Baffert and just smoked that horse. So I really love what Edgeway's doing. She's 5 years old now. I really think like when fillies become mares at 5, like they can really take another step up. And I think Edgeway kind of has that perfect, like she was good at 4. She was knocking on the door of being great. And now I think she's 5. She's going to be even stronger, faster. And she's got that beautiful outside post. I think she's going to be able to tip over, get a good spot, and then hopefully take it all the way. So Edgeway for me is my top pick.
Yeah, and I'm actually the same. Edgeway is my top pick. Edgeway is my top pick as well. I looked at this race, and nearly every single horse in this race ran the Madison at Keeneland just a few weeks ago. The only 2 that didn't were Obligatory and Edgeway. And I love both of them. And I love everything you said about Edgeway. She's progressing. She's 5 now. She's going to take a huge step forward. Ran huge in the Breeders' Cup. And then those 2 races at Santa Anita, they were paid workouts. She was in a hand ride. The last race, she hit the stretch and was 7 lengths ahead. It's like it's a small field, 4-horse field. Well, you could have put 10 horses in that field. It wouldn't have mattered. Like she had it in hand. So John Sadler
coming off a great workout too.
Yeah. So John Sadler has her in form. So if you're going technically second of the form cycle, because she raced in January 2nd, so basically last year. So ran in March, second on the form cycle. I think she's poised for a big run. And 4-1, I want a new shooter. I don't want to just redo that Madison race and try to get those same horses. So I'm going to pick Edgeway, and then I'm going to pick Obligatory as well, for similar reasons. Obligatory is turning 4. She ran well last year as a 3-year-old. She got second in the Cotillion, second in the Acorn, won the 8 Bells. So she tried a little bit longer, a couple different times, cutting back to a sprint distance. I think she's going to do really well. She just won a grade 3 down at Gulfstream in March with Tyler Gaffleone. That was on the Fountain of Youth undercard. So I think she's going to be poised to make a big move. And she's also going to be the one to kind of close from a little bit from the back. So if there is a hot pace up front, which the Madison had, and if you're getting those same horses here where there's a fast pace, it's going to set up for another closer. So either Edgeway goes wire to wire, or a horse like Obligatory kind of closes in and makes the big move.
Yeah, yep, I agree with everything about Obligatory. I have her on my A list as well. She's coming off that great win in Gulfstream. Easy field, but, she beat it by 3 lengths. 95 buyer. Like you said, she's 4 years old now, second start of her 4-year-old year, so she can take even another step forward. And another little jockey trainer angle, if you see like when Jose Ortiz rides for Bill Mott, over the last 2 years, they win at 26% and they have a 2.52 return. So they're positive ROI when you get that jockey and trainer teaming up. So I think Obligatory, she's 7-2. So I think she's going to be one of the top choices, but I think you got to have her because of everything you just said. She's going to be the best closer. It looks like she's improving. So I think she's the one you want.
Yeah. The other one that I really like here, and we talk about that Madison, the horse that won that race just one time. I believe she's the favorite here, 3-1. Yeah. Brad Cox, second. This is going to be her 3rd race for Brad Cox. She was with another trainer, Michael Salvaggio, was winning up at Penn, moved to Brad Cox and stepped up to race the big dogs and still just won pretty much both those races. Closed deep into the Madison. Caught Bell's the one at the wire, was able to win there. She's impressive. She's got Flavian Pratt. We talk about how much we love Flavian Pratt on dirt races in Kentucky. He's doing really well there. I almost want to play against her just because I think it's going to be a front runner and obligatory is going to be closer to the pace. So I have her as my fourth option on my ticket, and I'm going to determine whether to leave her off or leave her on.
Leave her off, man. I'm against this favorite because if you look at her form, those two races with Brad Cox, you know, she won a grade 2 and she won a grade 1, but both of them favored closers. You know, the DRF has the little C circled there. That means that the race was a bias for the closers, a strong bias. And so she got a good trip both times, and she was able to close and win. And she only won by a half length each time, or 3/4 of a length each time. So
yeah, her and Bell's the one were both they were neck and neck, but they were significantly ahead of Kamari.
Yeah, but I think Kamari ran against the flow of the race, and those horses were with the flow of the race because Kamari was on the early lead, so she was kind of up against it, whereas Just One Time and Bell's the one were kind of with the flow. And so I'm playing against those horses because I'm not sure that they're going to get the same kind of run that they got in the Madison last time out. And so that's why I like Edgeway. Yeah, what do you got?
I think this race is going to be just as fast, if not faster, though. Because you're getting the same horses. You're getting the number 1 horse, Lady Rocket. She's going to go to the lead. The 3-horse Center Isle, who was the favorite in that, not the favorite. Center Isle wanted to go to the lead, but broke poorly. Hopped at the start, had no impact in the race. But that's a front runner. She wants to go to the lead. Kamari wants to go to the lead. Edgeway's going to go to the lead. So you're going to have 4 or 5 horses all pushing the pace, and there's going to be 2 or 3 closers.
I don't think Kamari's going to go to the lead with Rosario. So
you went last time.
Kamari's my third. She's my third A horse in this race. If you look at when Rosario rides her, you know, Rosario will drop her off, bring like a mid pack run, and he's actually won the last 3 times that she's been on dirt. He's ridden her. She's won. So I think if there's one more improvement left in Kamari, she's 5 years old now. She's had a lot of tough races. I think it'll be this race because I think she's actually going to sit off of those horses you talk about, Lady Rocket, Center Isle, and then I think Edgeway will be in third. And then Kamari will probably be somewhere in 4th, 5th, 6th in the middle there and get first run at him. So I like Kamari. Doesn't sound like you do. I mean, I really do think the flow is going to be different. I don't think Just One Time is going to get the same run. So I think this is a good time to play against the favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like Kamari. I do like what you're saying about Rosario. I didn't really look to see that, you know, Gaff was the one that was pushing her up front in Rosario. It's a little bit more tactical. So that is something to look at.
Yeah. I think Rosario just knows her better. So I like that angle of him getting back.
Yeah. I mean, I just wish that this horse had a better history. Like, be a dirt horse or be a turf horse. Don't bounce back and forth. Don't switch jockeys a million times. Don't go
she's won 7 out of 13 lifetime races, man.
I know she's a good horse. It's impossible to like handicap with her though. Like if she was just a pure turf sprinter, I would love it. Or if she was a pure dirt sprinter, I would love it.
Right.
And if she had a stable jockey that rode her all the time, I would love it. But all those things kind of go against her where I'm not going to play her. I honestly would rather have Lady Rocket. So Lady
Rocket, your third choice, the one. Okay.
Yeah. So Lady Rocket was the favorite in the last race in the Madison. No, she and Kamari were both.
She's on my B list because I think you see it too. Like she's got so much early speed that she can get out on the lead and then potentially go gate to wire.
Yeah, I think her and Edgeway. And
yeah,
Keeneland was muddy. That's a big thing too. If we don't right now, the weather is kind of going back and forth between what it's going to be like on Saturday. I've seen that it's going to be kind of wet. I've seen that it's going to be dried out by the afternoon. I've seen that it might have thunderstorms. So we don't know. But I can see if Lady Rocket gets a fast track, she's not going to tire as much and die by the end. You know, she's going to be able to power home. So if Lady Rocket and Edgeway are on the lead, Kamari's sitting too far back. The closers don't have a pace to run into, or they don't get the first run. I think Lady Rocket and Edgeway, with obligatory being a little bit closer to the pace and being a better kind of mid-pack presser than Kamari is, those are the 4 that I want. Lady Rocket, obligatory, Edgeway, and then Center Isle as a long shot.
Yeah, I'll have to think about Lady Rocket because I have her fourth right now as on my B line. But I like everything you're saying. Like if she gets that fast track, she might set easy enough fractions where she could finish,
Yeah.
and then just go gate to wire from the one post. So I'll have to think about it.
Yeah. So I'm on the 1, 3, 5, and 7. Who are you on?
My A horses are the 4, 5, and 7. Kamari, Obligatory, and Edgeway, with Edgeway being the top pick.
Okay. Same with me. All right. So let's move on to race number 9, the American Turf mile and 16th for 3-year-olds on the grass surface. This race it's fun.
This
say
one
that.
is crazy. Yeah. How many horses are in it? Like 12?
11 horses.
11. 7 horses that I think could win. But the way I did it, though, I think there's 2 horses that kind of stand out. So those 2 are going to be the 2 main event. That's going to be my top play. And then the 7 side dog. I think those are the 2 that if one of those 2 runs their A game, I think one of those 2 is going to win. So that's why I'm going to cut down my ticket here, and I'm just going to play those 2 to win.
Oh, wow.
And just hope that one of them comes home. Because if one of those 2 doesn't come home, then I think it opens up. I have 5 horses below that I think all can, get in the mix somewhere.
So I have the same 2 horses for the same reasons. I think main event looked fantastic in the Cutler Bay on the Florida Derby undercard. We saw him in person.
Yeah, I mean, he won by 3 1/4 lengths on the turf, and it's pretty hard to win by like 3+ lengths on the turf. So that means he's doing really good.
And Side Dog's undefeated. Won the Transylvania at Keeneland back in April. So those 2 horses definitely stand out. The third horse that I'm going to include here is another question mark, and that's the number 6 horse, Portfolio Company.
Yep, the Chad Brown.
I'm not going to leave any of these Chad Brown.
You're determined not to.
I'm not going to get burned by Chad Brown off a long layoff with the Superstar. This horse was supposed to be a superstar going into the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. He was my top pick in that race, and he just did not have a good race at all. He kind of threw up a clunker, and he hasn't raced since then. And Chad, again, being very intentional about where he's running this horse.
Yeah, man.
He's spotting him well.
All these long layoffs, man.
I know. It's like Chad could have ran him anywhere. He could have ran him at Aqueduct when he was up there. He could have ran him at Gulfstream or at Keeneland or even at Tampa. Why is he running this horse here? He's getting Joel Rosario, who's back on board. Joel was rode for the Pilgrim, where he got second at Belmont, to a horse named Annapolis, who was excellent. So I'm going to include Portfolio Company. I'm going to include those 3. And like you said, I think if those top 2 don't finish and a Portfolio Company doesn't come back as a star, it's kind of wide open.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Let me tell you why I didn't put Portfolio Company on that A line. It's because if you look at his first 3 races of his life, they were all at the same distance that this race is at, 1 1/16. And his running style, he likes to be up near the lead. And, in his maiden race, he got out to a 2.5 length lead when they turned for home. And then he only won by 3/4 of a length. So clearly, he got out to a nice lead, but then he kind of gave it up. He still won the race, but he gave it up in that maiden. And then you look what happened the next 2 races in those two turf stakes races. Both times, like he was out near the lead, and then he just didn't really finish much, and he got second place both times. So I think I'm kind of skeptical about how he finishes races. Now, obviously, that was when he was 2. Now he's going to be 3 years old. I would have loved, like you would have said, I would have loved to seeing him get 1 race, so we know like if he's a better horse or not than he was. So I just think there might be a chance there that like he turns for home, he's in the lead, and then that 1 1/16 distance just really like catches up to him, and I think he might need more distance, because then he could use his early speed to kind of like put some more distance on the field. So, obviously he makes sense, but I'm just going to try to play against him.
Yeah, I mean, I hear everything you're saying. I just think it's funny that Chad's just like allergic to allowance races. Like, just put him, just give him a chance, just run him.
Top stakes races.
Just throw him in. What is this, a grade 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to be the best. I mean, it's probably so far, it's probably the best turf race for 3-year-olds
Oh, for
so
sure. Yeah.
far in the
The
year.
the
So
Transylvania is only a grade 3. So
yeah,
yeah. The other horse that I want to talk about is the number 11 Dowagiac
I had
Chief.
that one written down, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last race was on synthetic. It was a Derby prep. I don't know why he was there. Before that, he ran a huge race at Fairgrounds. He got first by 5 lengths with an 88 buyer. He was basically geared down. Another front running type. So he is my singular B. I've got 3 A's and a B. I'll probably end up playing all 4 of them on my main ticket.
Okay. Yeah,
Again,
I like that horse as a 10-1 long shot. Like you said, he ran at this distance at Fairgrounds and he won by 5 lengths on the turf. So
yeah,
even though the field probably wasn't great, when you win by 5 lengths, that means you are cooking. I will say the one knock on him is that he's all the way outside. So I think the horse that we like main event being in the two hole, he's going to get the first run to get on the lead. And then this horse, Dowagiac Chief, might have to sit in second place.
yeah.
So that kind of hurts his chances. But I think he's a great long shot to include for sure.
Yeah. So those are the 4 that I'm using. I'm using the 2 main event, the 6 portfolio company, the 7 Side Dog, and the 11 Dowagiac Chief.
Yeah. I think for me, it's just going to be 2-7. I really do think that they kind of tower over the field, if you will. Especially Side Dog being 3 for 3 undefeated. I mean, and he's improving his buyers every time. Like that's the horse I'm looking at. Like, dude, Side Dog, just be good, man. Just be good, please.
And he'll like the pace. I mean, he's never run faster than an 82 buyer, which isn't that great. But if we get a fast pace, maybe that's something that he'll like
have
to close
something to
into.
run into. Yeah.
Yeah.
My hope is that main event goes out on the lead and then Side Dog runs up next to him. And it's the 2 Ortiz brothers too. And the classic Ortiz exacta goes down. So, and then it's an easy, like, all right, 1-2, move on.
All right.
Some other horses that I would like if I was playing more horses would be Balnikov, I think has a chance. Royal Spirit getting Gaff Leone. I mean, he almost won the Kitten's Joy at Gulfstream, and then he went to the synthetic for a Derby prep. So I think on turf, he might be better on turf. And then my last one was Stolen Base with Flavian Pratt. Like a lot of these top jockeys are on horses that are like 12-1, 15-1. So it's like, it's one of those moments where like if Flavian Pratt wins at 12-1, you're going to be kicking yourself. Like, why didn't I have Flavian Pratt at 12-1?
Yeah, I mean he hasn't been doing as well on turf in Kentucky. Like I think Keeneland, he was doing really well on dirt, but his turf stakes weren't that great.
Oh, okay,
but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know if I have the bankroll to put 7 horses in that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I just got to trust the A's and move on.
All right, let's move on to the next race, race 10, the Churchill Downs Stakes, grade 1 for 4-year-olds and up, going 7 furlongs on the dirt. Here's your main sprint event for the handicap division. John, who is your top pick in this race?
Yeah, so another sprint. Again, I'm going to be mindful of the starting positions. With that being said, my top pick's actually going to be the 5 reinvestment risk, Chad Brown. Now, this is the Chad Brown horse that's not coming in off like a 6-7 month layoff. He's actually been running in 2022. I believe he's a 4-year-old now, or is he 5?
He's 4.
He's 4. Okay, so he was good at 2 years old, and then he only had 1 race at 3 years old last year. So I think he must have got injured or something went wrong. So you just got to cross out his 3-year-old year. And then now at 4 years old, he's come back with a 103 and a 104 buyer in his first 2 races. And I think it's legit speed. Like, I don't think those are bad buyers. I think it's legit. You see, he won his first race at Gulfstream, won by 3 lengths. That was the race off a long layoff. And he ran in an optional claimer allowance race, won by 3. And then he came right back in a grade 1 sprint, the Carter handicap. And he got second place behind a horse we both love, Speaker's Corner, who we think he's going to win the Met Mile, or he's going to be one of the top choices in the Met Mile. And he ran, I think he was kind of with Speaker's Corner early, and then Speaker's Corner put him away, but he held on strong to finish second. And he got a 104 buyer for that. So I think reinvestment risk being outside of Jackie's Warrior in the 5 path, I think he'll get a more comfortable trip. And I really think he's got a chance to run down Jackie's Warrior.
Yeah, so you brought up Jackie's Warrior. This is my single. I'm singling Jackie's Warrior. It's not a hot take. I feel like out of this sequence, out of the 6 races, Jackie's Warrior is the most likely single of all of them. And so I'm gonna take my stand here, kind of narrow down my ticket and put that single on Jackie's Warrior.
Okay.
And he was a monster last year. He kind of underperformed in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. He'd had a long season, a lot of races. It finally caught up to him. I'm running against good horses with the red hot pace. They went 21, 44,
the pace
50.
In that race was suicidal.
It was suicidal.
There. I bet on Jackie's Warrior because he was looking fantastic, and then that pace happened, and it just all hell broke loose.
Yeah, it was suicidal. So he took much needed time off. He took 5 months off. His race. This is the thing. He's coming off a short layoff now. It's only been 3 weeks. He had that race in Oaklawn in the slop. They knew that this was the goal. They knew that they were using that race at Oaklawn as a prep for this specific race. And if you watch that race, he was in hand the entire time. They hit the stretch, and he was just loafing along. And I think Joel Rosario looked behind him when they almost got to the finish line. Was like, "Oh crap, they're kind of catching me." And he just flashed the whip in front of Jackie's eye and he pushed on.
Yeah.
But they didn't even treat it as a race. They treated it as a workout in the slop, and he still got a 98 buyer.
Yeah, I think he got the win. It was a diminishing. He went from 4 lengths to 3/4 of the length. But
yeah, that's what I was saying. He was loping down the lane.
He did run against the bias. That one favored closers, and he was on the lead the whole time. So I think that could also explain why those horses kind of caught up to him, because running on the mud was probably really tiring for him. He came out of that. He had a solid workout. He didn't fire a bullet, but he did 5 furlongs in a minute flat, which is what you want to look for. He's my other A horse. I'm going too deep in this race because I do think there's a chance Jackie's Warrior gets on a nice, comfortable lead, and he looks even better than he did last time out, and he finishes it off. But like I said, with that 3 post, he's going to have to be very fast to cut the corner and to get that first lead position out of the chute. And I just wonder if reinvestment risk is the now horse, I think Jackie's Warrior actually beat reinvestment risk twice 2 years ago when they were 2.
And the Champagne and the Hopeful.
Right? Yeah. So he beat him twice already, but that was
a little PTSD.
a year and a half ago. And I think reinvestment risk is coming in as a new horse. And so we'll see, man. I think Jackie's going to be on the lead. I think reinvestment risk is going to be tracking him. And then we'll get a little bit of a stretch duel. Maybe Jackie's Warrior just puts him away. If that's the case, that's why I want both of these horses, and I'm kind of throwing out everyone else.
Yeah, I like it. I feel the same way. I really like reinvestment risk. I need to cut my ticket in half, so I'm tossing him and singling Jackie's Warrior.
No, I think that's the value. That's the value. What I'm doing is not really the value play, because I think they're going to be the top 2 choices. So it's kind of doubling the ticket for that. But like I said, I'm taking stands otherwhere. I'm fading Jack Christopher.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing with Jack Christopher, but I'm not taking an opinion here. So no, I feel the same way. I do want to bring up one other horse in here that I love. Can you guess who it is?
Is it Cezanne?
No, it is Prevalence.
Oh, Prevalence. Okay.
Number 6, Prevalence. Prevalence was my boy last year on the Derby Trail down at Gulfstream. He had a couple of impressive wins, stretched out to the wood in the Pat Day Mile. Didn't like it. He's coming back now as a 4-year-old. He ran an allowance down at Gulfstream, 99 buyer, won by 4.5 lengths easily. Came back in Keeneland, won in the slop in the Commonwealth, grade 3, 7 furlongs, won by 2.25. He's primed. He came off that long layoff in an allowance, didn't really go well. But after that first allowance, he's in good form now. He could be sitting on a big race. I just don't know if he's good enough to beat these top 2 yet. I think eventually he'll be a good, solid G1 place, G2 winning horse. But Jackie is just so much better.
I agree with you. He would have been my 3rd choice, but I had to cut down my ticket, so I'm just leaving him off. Pretty much for those reasons. He won a grade 3. He got a 98 buyer, but yeah, he would have to take another improvement on top of that. And for me, it's just not worth it on the ticket. But I could definitely see him like if Jackie's Warrior and Reinvestment Risk get into a little bit of a speed duel, he could definitely take advantage and maybe even win the race. You know.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that. And so, yeah, I think he's a good horse. I'll talk about a horse that isn't in the race. Can
Is
you
it
guess?
Flightline?
No, well, not Flightline.
Okay.
Can you guess what horse should be in this race? We saw him in Florida, in Gulfstream.
Fearless? I don't know.
Wayburn.
Oh, Wayburn's running today or running on Friday.
He's running on Friday in the Ali Sheba, which is like a mile and a 16th two-turn race. But we saw him down at Gulfstream win one of those undercard sprint races, and he got a 102 buyer.
Yeah.
Remember that? And he was part of the pick six that we hit because he was a new 4-year-old and he was getting back to the sprinting because the prior year he had been doing the Kentucky Derby Trail, wasn't that great at it. Now he's coming back to a sprint distance. He's 4, and that's why we put him on our ticket.
Yeah, that's why I made you pick him.
Yeah. I thought it was my idea, but whatever.
We'll see.
That's neither here. But the point is, he ran a 102 buyer in a sprint race, and now they're stretching him back out to 2 turns. Like he's clearly a sprinter,
Yeah, it makes no sense. I don't know. I agree. I think he should be here
because if he was in this race, I would have really thought about picking him as.
It's like I would have thought long and hard about picking him, but then I would have left him off.
No, dude, a 102 buyer, that puts him right up there with Jackie Warrior and Reinvestment.
I'd probably pick Wayborn over Reinvestment Risk at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I think he would have had a real shot in here, but the trainer, who knows what he's doing. So now he's running on Friday in a 2-turn race, and he's probably going to lose, and it's all bad.
All right. So I'm on Jackie's Warrior as my single. You've got Jackie and Reinvestment Risk there. All right. Moving on to race 11, the Turf Classic, Old Forester Turf Classic, grade 1, going a mile and an eighth on the turf for 4-year-olds and up. Another competitive race here. A lot of big time horses coming back or making their big debut as olders. Who's your top pick here?
Yeah, I mean, this is a great race. I love playing the double, the turf into Derby double on this race. Big grade 1, but last year, like there was like legitimate like superstars like Colonel Liam, Domestic Spending, Smooth Like Straight. That was the top 3 last year. This year, I don't see like the superstar level, or at least yet. It's kind of more of a lot of like really good horses, and then who's gonna pop, like who's gonna run that big race. So I'm 3 deep, possibly 4 deep. I have a bomb in here that I'll talk about later. But my top horse is going to be the Chad Brown. It's going to be Adamo. The Irish bred. He's 9-2. The thing I love about Adamo is that he was running on soft turf over in France, and he was running in big races like grade 1s and grade 2s, and he wasn't winning. That's why he's over in America now. But he did win a grade 3 on soft turf. And I think the word is that there's going to be a bunch of rain at Churchill Downs on Friday, maybe into Saturday. And so the grass is going to be good at best. It's not going to be firm. So I think he likes a little softer grass. And I love the fact that Chad got him a race in America. He raced him in February in New Orleans. He got a 96 buyer, his first race in America. But a lot of these horses, when they come over, they don't win that first race. And you can see he lost by a head in that fairground. So he got a really good buyer, lost by a head. Now I think he's ready to pop that 100+ buyer to get that big grade 1 win. I think he's going to go forward off of that. So that's why I like this Chad Brown Adamo. He's got Flavian Pratt. I think the arrow is pointing up.
All right. I'm also picking a Chad Brown. I'm picking a different Chad Brown on top.
It's not Tribhuvan, is it?
It is not Tribhuvan, although I have him on my ticket. I'm going with Public Sector as my top pick. You talk about superstar. This horse has the exact same progression as Domestic Spending. If you look at Domestic Spending last year.
First, I have a question. Didn't you put a future bet on this horse to win the Kentucky Derby last year?
No, that was
I think
it was like a Salt or something like that. It was the one that won the juvenile turf 2 years ago. I can't remember its name, but it was another Chad Brown. It was like 4-wheel drive, I think.
Battleground?
No. Let's see.
It wasn't Fire at Will. I think it was Public Sector, man. I don't
No.
know. When I saw that, I was like, I think my bet on this horse to win the Kentucky Derby.
Hold on, I'll find out who it
All right.
was.
So okay, so while you do that, like I'll just
Four
go
wheel.
over the deck.
It was 4-wheel drive. That was the name of the horse. He won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf.
That was a Wesley Ward horse.
Okay,
I thought
that's
you
who
bet
I
on
did.
a Chad Brown. Well, whatever.
Okay, so you look at Public Sector. He has the exact same progression as domestic spending. Domestic spending ran in the Saratoga Derby and the Hollywood Derby, and then this race, the Turf Classic. Public Sector ran in the Hollywood Derby, ran in a bunch of those New York graded stakes races as a 3-year-old. So he was winning all those races. Had one bad race at Del Mar when he's an East Coast based horse, like shipping all the way across the country. Had one bad race. Long layoff, is coming back, and we talk about Chad Brown's progression where he gets those 3-year-olds that are pretty good and turns them into monsters at 4. Domestic spending was 1. I think Public Sector is going to be that horse this year. He was out of Kingman. It's a $204,000 stud fee for this horse. Homebred for Clairvett Stables. He's going to be a big time player this year for Chad Brown, and I think Tribovan is in this race to be the rabbit for Public Sector. The problem is I have to include Tribovan because
no, you don't have to.
Tribovan is fast, and there's been races where he's the rabbit and he just wins. That happened last year.
Yeah, but there's now that we're talking about Tribovan, there's another horse in here. Let me find him. I think it's Cavalry Charge, who likes to be a front runner. Yeah, I believe it's Cavalry Charge, and he's just as fast, if not faster, than Tribovan early. So I don't think he's going to get that.
Tribuvan's a pure E8. Cavalry Charge is an EP6. So
okay, I feel like he's going to get a little bit of pace pressure. That's what
he might get some pressure and he might tire. Again, if it's yielding turf, Tribovan might get on the lead and just go all the way. But I think Chad's entering 3 horses here because he thinks all 3 are live. He thinks the other two, like the Public Sector and your horse at Hamo, are probably live. Or Tribovan's getting older, but we've seen it time and time again. He enters this rabbit, and the rabbit wins because no one's pressing it.
I agree. I love that. I love that angle when I can get it right. I just don't think this is the right horse in the right field. I just think there's going to be more pace pressure than he would want.
And we'll see. That's just how I'm playing it. I'm just going Chad. All
those
3.
Are your 3 picks. All 3.
Yeah.
Chad Brown.
That I'm not picking anyone else in this race. I've got the 3 Chads. Ivar was my only B horse, but I'm not picking Ivar.
You kind of scared me on Public Sector because I'm looking at him now and there's a lot of 1s and 2s on that form from last year. Even though so the reason I didn't pick him is because his buyers are a little bit lower. They're his best buyers are 91, and in order to win this race, you're going to have to be 98, 99, 100. But coming off a layoff, he's 4 now. He might make that improvement. So the 2 other horses I had on my A list were Cheryl Spate. He's coming off that Grade 1 win in the Keeneland in the Maker's Mark Mile.
Yeah.
He got a 104 buyer for that. You look at all of his races in 2022. He had 2 wins down in Tampa on the turf, 93 buyer, 98 buyer, 104 buyer. He's improving every race. Yeah. Is he going to be, he's never raced at this long of a distance before. So, he was finishing great in that Maker's Mark Mile. Is he going to do it again? Is he going to bring that late run again in this race? Because if he does, I think he's going to be right there with the Chad Brown horses.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the speed. He kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, he had that big race at Tampa that everyone thought was kind of fluky, and then he just blew up as a 9-1 long shot, the Maker's Mark Mile.
Yeah.
And he only won by a nose though. If he'd won a little bit more impressively, I'd definitely include him. But still, you can't ignore that 104
well,
buyer.
The thing is, I mean, he won by over a length when he was going a mile and a 16th. So I'm thinking maybe he actually wants more distance, and the Maker's Mark Mile was actually a little bit shorter than he really wants to go, and he still won it. So
that could be the case too. I just don't like him at 3-1. That's my biggest thing. If Cheryl Sprite was like 10-1, I'd be all over him.
Yeah.
I don't like him as the favorite.
As the favorite. He probably
Yeah.
should. You're right. He probably shouldn't be the favorite because Chad Brown I think Chad Brown has won this race like 4 years in a row or
Yeah.
something like.
I'm just gonna play the odds. Like Chad wins this race all the time. He's got 3 horses in this race. One of them's gonna win.
So the other horse I had that maybe I'll swap out for that, the one you like, is the 10 Santine. You know, I love Gaff on turf. We love Gaff on turf. You look at his 2 races in 2022. You know, he's been close to winning, but hasn't won. Like he was only a half length behind Adamo. And then in the other race, he got second place to 2 Emmys, and 2 Emmys is a horse that is a good front runner. So like he got caught behind one of those really good like front runners that went gate to wire, and he was basically in second place and finished second. So that was kind of a merry-go-round race. So I just wonder if Santine, like maybe it's his 3rd start as a 4-year-old, you know, maybe he can sit in behind Tribhuvan and behind Cavalry Charge, and then maybe he can get kind of a clean break and maybe go up and get it. But I don't know. Now you're scaring me with that other Chad Brown horse that could take a big jump forward. So
yeah, I'm always going to go with potential. Santine's fine. Three races in a row though where they haven't been able to win. This is a horse I'd love to play underneath.
But yeah, he's always running though. You know,
he's always running. You play Tyler underneath, but
yeah,
I'm not threatened by this horse to be like a win.
Okay. Well, how about this? So if you want a threat to win, that'll blow up everyone's ticket. This is my bomb of the day.
Bomb of the day.
It's the number 2, Busy Channel.
Oh God.
He's 30-1. Nobody is going to be looking at this horse, Mike. So let's break down his form. So he's a 6-year-old now. He's had 1 race in 2022 in Keeneland on good turf. So he likes at least last race, he liked the good turf, and he got a 94 buyer. He was sitting in second place, and then he ended up winning that race at 8-1 odds. He came back and fired a bullet workout. You know, he projects like he's not a dead closer. So he's going to be kind of like that horse that, you know, he's going to get out there maybe in 3rd place, 4th place, ride the rail, save all the ground. And, you know, the way he finished off his last race, like he looked really good. And then last summer at Arlington Park, he won a grade 3, the Arlington. He got a 98 buyer for that one. And he had a 99 buyer last year as well. So,
he beat two Emmys twice in a row.
Yeah, he beat 2 Emmys, and 2 Emmys is a good horse. 2 Emmys won that, the grade 1 at Arlington Park. So, I mean, I think he's got sneaky talent, and you know his last 2 races of last year were really bad. Like he got 6th and 8th place. I think he was just tired after a bunch of tough runs, and he got that layoff, and now he's coming second off the layoff. Man, he could really blow it up if he wins it. He's gonna be 30-1, maybe less. I think people are gonna see that and probably bet him down to like 20-1. But for underneath, I think he's a great value. And maybe like if you want to play him, to win, he's got one race at Churchill Downs. He got second place in that one with a 91 buyer. You know, there's a lot to like about him.
There's a lot to like, and he'll be on the pace. So
yeah, he's going to be up near the pace. And this jockey trainer combo, if you look at that, over the last 2 years, they've had 54 horses together, and they've won 39% of those races. They have a 3.38 return, which is like 150% ROI.
There you go.
He could be live.
Man. I can't knock you at that. That is like the definition of a live long shot. So
yeah, you're like that, right?
I do. I won't include him, but I like it.
So when I did the math, he's the one. He would up my ticket by $22 if I include him. But
I feel like you can just do a win bet on him, like a $10 win bet. You're gonna make $200, $300.
I could do that too. Like when the race gets there, just do a win bet on him.
Yeah, just do like a saver win bet.
But man, if he wins and I go 5 out of 6 and that's the one, like, oh my God, the payouts on the pick 6 would be crazy.
Yeah, you'd have like that consolation, like, oh, I got $300 on the win bet, but I could have had $20,000.
Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe I'll just eat the $22 extra and throw Busy Channel on there because, man.
Yeah, you'd kick yourself for not spending $22.
Right.
All right. All right, let's get into the last race then. We talked a lot about
Derby.
the Derby yesterday, and on the other podcast, you can check that on the channel where we go in depth on basically every single horse in the field. But I want to hear how you're playing it with your ticket,
Yep.
specifically, and how you're structuring it here.
Yeah, so I'm just going to go with my three choices. I'm leaving Zandon off. On the pod yesterday, he was my fourth kind of 50-50 guy. But I think the more we talked about it, the trip, he's not going to get the trip. I know he's the favorite, but I just don't think he's going to get the trip. I don't think he's going to win. So I got to play that way. Kind of my whole vibe for this ticket is just to let horses beat me that I think I could beat. So I'm going to let Taba beat me. I'm not going to use him. I'm going to let Zandon beat me. I'm going to let Jack Christopher beat me. So I'm just going to play my three top choices: Epicenter, White Abarrio, and Cyberknife. I look at them on paper. Epicenter won the Louisiana Derby. White Abarrio won the Florida Derby. Cyberknife won the Arkansas Derby. And then the other two horses you would look at that won big preps: Zandon. Like I said, I don't like his trip, and Taba. I don't like how he's been working out, and I think Taba's I think he's not gonna run as good as he's been running. The 100 plus buyers. I think he's due for a bounce, as they say. So I don't like those two. And then I guess Mo Donegal would be the other big prep winner. I'm not going to use him for the same reason. I think on the one posts, too much to overcome. So three horses: Epicenter, White Abarrio, Cyberknife. One of those winners is going to double down, win the Derby.
All right. I like your strategy. I'm also putting three horses on my ticket. My three are going to be Epicenter, Messier, and Taiba. Taba.
Yeah, we got into why the whole Taba mess.
Yeah, I mean we got into it yesterday, but I think you go three here. We're both on Epicenter. We're both against Zandon with the top two choices. We're just I'm really into those two California horses. Yep. You're on White Abarrio, who I like a lot, and he's my fourth horse. If I was to put a fourth horse on here, it would be White Abarrio. But trying to keep this ticket at least a little bit skinny in an area where I've got a heavy opinion in this race. That's the thing. Like, I don't have much to separate those top three. I do think the rest of them are a tier down. So that's why I'm only picking those three.
Right there, man. He's right there.
He's right there. He's right there in my heart. And I think if I'm live to this ticket with these three horses, I'll probably just play a significant win bet on White Abarrio. Even though I already have a futures bet on him, I'll probably just play him pure to win because I'll already be sitting on cash for the three favorites.
The three you like. Yep.
Yeah.
So how much is your, let's go over our ticket structure.
Yeah.
So
I got to recalculate.
So basically,
mine.
I'll just go over quickly. Mine is going to be first race. I'm going 3 deep by 3 deep by 2 deep, 2 deep, 3 maybe 4 deep with busy channel, and then the last race I'm going 3 deep. So I didn't go super big in any one leg. I think I'm kind of well covered in the horses that I like. So that ticket's going to be $64, 86 if I include busy channel.
I like that. My ticket is also $86, where I go 3 deep, 4 deep, 4 deep, single, 3 deep, 3 deep.
Yeah, see, that single allows you to get some 4 deep in there, and that's kind of where you can separate yourself.
Yeah, so basically an $86 win bet on Jackie's Warrior, because I don't think any horse that's not on my ticket can win except in that race. And if there are, I'll find ways to hedge.
Reinvestment risk.
So,
yeah, I mean, just looking at it, though, it would be tough for us to make a joint ticket.
I think we could.
We'd have to make some concessions.
We can talk that. We can take that offline. But we know each other's horses. I think our biggest concessions will be, obviously in the Derby and some of the
Christopher.
Yeah, we can talk about that
and adding reinvestment risk to the ticket.
That's the thing. Like, adding reinvestment risk would instantly double this ticket. But I think if we're getting us and 4 other people to do it, that's fine with me.
Okay.
Let's play around with it. You've got your picks. I've got my picks. I'll send you what I got so you can fill around with
some winners.
Prices. All right. But that's it. That's our pick 6 ticket for Saturday. Churchill Downs, Kentucky Derby undercard. Let us know how your races go. I'll be on Twitter all day, posting instant reactions. Articles up on the website, horseguyMike.com, for the Kentucky Derby. We had our Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks video also on the channel, as well as my top 5 Derby trends video. Leave us a like and subscribe. John, do you have any other comments to add?
No, man, that's it. I feel great. You know, we got our handicapping done early this year, so we can just sit back, enjoy the races. Oh, I will say, do not bet on Thurby. Don't do it.
I
I've bet on Thurby. I always lose money on Thurby every year, and then I'm always mad. Like I should have more money to bet on the Kentucky Derby. So Thurby is a hard no for me this year.
I'll agree with you there. And with that, best of luck to everyone, and may the juleps be with you. Have a good night.